begin with, authentic manhood. That's what we getting into. Day two. Day two. So thank you for joining us. And man, I'm really excited about this 60-day Devo and diving into just a daily reflections for men. Okay. And so today, I'm fresh back off a run, so I'm starting to adjust, right? I just went for trying to get back into running, man. Got to work on my fitness, man. I'm 46 years old, 46 years old now. And so, man, got to stay fit, got to work on the temple, all right? And so, speaking of working on the temple, let's get into today's devotional. Asking for directions. How many of y'all got problems asking for directions? Put it in the comments, put it in the chat if you have problems um, asking for directions. Let's get into it. You know the old joke. Instead of asking for directions or getting out the map, most men will veer into an uncharted direction. We are determined to go our own way, sure that our brave, long path will lead us to our destination. This inclination has been cultivated in our bones since we were born. We are encouraged to be self sufficient, independent, daring, and bold. Any sense of need or reliance on others has been mislabeled as weak at best or deficient at worst. And so we charge ahead, often with no direction and no assistance. They nailed it right there. We can be guilty of doing the same thing with our life, trying to go at it alone. If we can find ourselves lost in the woods, and we can find ourselves lost in the woods, aimless and confused with life. Aimless and confused men create problems for both themselves and others. Man, just aimlessly wandering out there. They usually end up seeking alternative and unhealthy ways of redirecting the pain and loneliness they feel. When we're aimless and confused, we can easily be redirected toward easy grabs. These easy grabs will make us feel victorious at the moment, but in fact, they are traps. Like quicksand, they suck us down further into an aimlessness and pain. I'm gonna say that again. Like quicksand, they suck us down further into our aimlessness and pain. Some of us end up with unhealthy addictions. Some of us may bury ourselves in work. Some may go to the route of sex addiction and pornography. Some may resort to anger and violence, affairs, or other adolescent behaviors. I love how they labeled them. All those were adolescent behaviors. All those are boyish behaviors. They're not behaviors becoming of a man. The pornography, the anger and violence, the affairs, um, the sex addiction, the burying ourselves in work. All those are unhealthy addictions and they're boyish behaviors. I remember when my wife and I we were getting ready to separate. We separated for 8 months. We didn't know it was going to be 8 months. I thought it was the first step to divorce, but thanks to the Father, the Almighty, we were able to reconcile. And but prior to, we were meeting with our pastors, and one of the things that came out was my addiction to pornography. My father introduced pornography to me when I was 11 years old. He handed my brother and I some dirty magazines and said, listen, this is what men do. Yeah, 11 years old. And so this was the legacy that the enemy tried to have passed on to me. And so had struggled with it my whole adulthood, all the way into adulthood. And we were sharing this with my pastor, and he told me this. He said, engaging in pornography, that's what boys do. That's what little boys do. Men don't engage in pornography. And that was the first time that a man had told me that, that behavior was boyish behavior. And it just stuck with me. It hit me. Because my aim is to be a man called after God's own heart, a man that's respected by his family, respected by his loved ones, and that hit me. And so it's cool that they're touching on the fact that this is adolescent behavior in this devotional. Let's continue. When you feel aimless and confused, what do you do? Do you try to go at it alone? Do you turn to other avenues to satisfy your need for purpose and meaning? The way of Jesus is to do life together, not to walk our paths alone. He modeled that with his 12 disciples. They did life together. They carried each other's burdens. Only when you admit you cannot go your road alone and are willing to ask for directions can you truly begin to walk the path of authentic manhood, a path that leads you to a life of meaning, passion, and purpose. Write in your journal the ways, here's the action steps for today. Write in your journal the ways you react when you feel lost or confused. It's helpful to see those things in writing. Reflect on what it is that makes you respond as you do. Where in life do I feel aimless and confused? What am I wrestling with? What are you wrestling with, man? Maybe it's work-life balance. Maybe it's sexual addiction. Maybe it's a drug addiction. Maybe it's gambling. What is it that you're wrestling with? Okay, what would it take for me to ask someone else for help? What would that take? All right, maybe it's a phone call for some. Maybe it's a text message. Maybe you need to talk to your spouse. Maybe maybe you need to talk to your child. Maybe you have an adult child and you probably need to pull them to the side and have a conversation, a much needed conversation with them, and share your heart with them about what you're wrestling with. Another question: who are the friends or mentors in my life who are walking my path with me? Listen, I'm highly convinced, and I say this over on my podcast, that manhood is not a solo sport, it's a team sport. And so you need to do it in community with others. I'm not saying you got to have a whole bunch of friends. All right. I'm just saying you need a few men in your life who you've given permission to hold you accountable and to help you. Man, life is hard, right? And I don't believe that God intended for us to navigate it together. He said over in Genesis, he said, man, it's not good for men to be alone. And I know he was talking about mankind, but I believe that he was talking about specifically to men as well, because that's all there was at the time. It was just Adam, right? And so, yeah, yeah, find you some men. And for some of you, this is going to involve you being vulnerable, you opening yourself up to other men. I got this bad thing. It's like, I don't want no new friends, right? All the friends I need, I already know. And that couldn't be further from the truth. God is introducing men and world changers into my life. Uh, you know, I'll seem like all the time, right? And so, man, that's all I have for today, man. Day 2 in the books. It's a wrap. If you found value in this, spread the word. Share this devotional with other men. Okay. I see someone just jumped on. Hey, appreciate you. We're wrapping up right now. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. Got started a little late today. I had to do a run and my children was all over the place. And so, man, love y'all. Go kill it today. Go do hard things. Peace.